Good morning, everybody. It's the 30th of December, one of the last days of this year, and I'm in Baranovici, of course. Here, I just wanted to show you, this is a buhanka here, made more famous by Mike Jones of I Earl Grey on his foreign agent channel. As you see, very nice vehicles. These are actually incredible for four-wheel drive, and also for the heaters, I guess. Mike Jones has exemplified that, saying that nothing can beat the heaters in that. Probably you can get roasted out of those things, but it's obviously a sturdy vehicle. I don't know. This is for. Let me see how strong this baby is. Oh boy! Looks like it's got some thick steel. It's a breast region, something to do with electricity. Sort of a vehicle. And anyway, as you know, just what was it, yesterday, 29th? Ukraine had fired a missile into Belarus, and Belarus was able to shoot it down, and it turns out to be the same type of missile projectile that the Ukraine fired into Poland in November. So, and it's who knows why? Who knows why they sent one into Poland? I guess they just apparently wanted to just blame it on Russia, but of course it doesn't seem like that plan was very well prepared. So it didn't really work too well. Even Poland and the United States came out and admitted that it was a Ukrainian rocket, which is also very strange, because we've all noticed that they have really no integrity anyway. If they know it's a lie, they'll repeat it anyway. But it's very curious of why they came out and admitted that that was a lie. I don't quite understand, because it was a S-300 projectile, and Russia made those. Even though I don't believe they even make S-300s anymore. I don't know. Maybe they have some old ones in stock, and but Ukraine has still S-300, and they have still some projectiles left, but they're running low. And as you know, they're getting one battery of the Patriot. I think I might have mentioned that in the last video, that one is not going to do that much. You need a whole system, and Russia, I'm sure they're not very upset about it. It's just the principle of the thing that bothers them. I'll tell you what, they're probably more bothered that Greece wants to sell or give, or whatever the case might be, S-300s to Ukraine. And of course they signed a deal with Russia, Greece did, that they would not give or sell these S-300s to anybody without approval of Russia themselves. So it's the principle of that. But I think if you look at the statistics, S-300, even though it's an older system, is more effective than probably these Patriots. And I don't even know that if the new Patriots are more effective than the S-300. But I didn't have any real experience working with the Patriots. But if I was in, I mentioned something about it in the last one. I don't even want to go into that, but they're just not that great. As you remember, the older systems back in the 80s. It was at the 80s, late 80s, when Saddam Hussein was firing his short-range Scud missiles into Israel. The Patriots couldn't shoot them all down. They shot down some, and I don't know. But I don't know that even the Russian systems are totally effective, so that they can shoot everything down. But anyway, this one was shot down. The Ukraine fired into Belarus by the new S-400s that Belarus has, and that should tell you something as well, that the whole idea of Ukraine sending a missile into Belarus, it, on one hand, of course, it shows disrespect for Belarus, and but mainly they wanted to just test the system and see if it worked. And I don't know why Ukraine is being successful in sending some drones into attacking certain air bases well within Russia, like 500 kilometers. And this missile, Belarus shot it down, I guess, after about 30 kilometers crossing into the Belarus border. And of course, into this region is where they fired it, into the Brest region. And it's, I guess, the location of where they shot it down is halfway to where I'm at right now. So, you know, if the border is on one side and my location is on the other, it's kind of right in the middle. And this town of Baranovichi, I don't really want to talk about. I don't know if the government would appreciate it, but I'm sure Ukraine already knows all about it anyway. So it is actually one of the main big targets in Belarus for Ukraine, or for any military that's wanting to, you know, introduce any hostilities against Belarus or even Russia in general. And look at, here's a missile here. I was pointing that out in one Ukrainian. As you see, it's Ukrainian make. You know, there was once a young operator up there I saw eating some potato chips, but which lets you know they have chips here too. But this is in Belarus, and this is what is that? Wow, a Yacha. A Yacha. Looks like a Yacha missile. I never heard of those. You know, they got the Yacha flag up there. It's not a Ukrainian flag. Look at that. Yeah, right here in a civilian area. That's not very good. Yeah. So, but you saw it here. Anyway, this was just this missile was just to test out the air defenses of Belarus, you know, to see how good this S-400. But like I said, it's also a sign of disrespect, and of course Belarus came out and you know, warned them not to do it anymore. And there's already been a couple terrorist attacks from Ukraine in Belarus. There was one on a military base, but this was many months ago. I think it was in the summertime, and it was on some military base, and I believe it was a sabotage operation. And it might have been because somebody was paid for it. Who knows? I can't remember that Belarus even mentioned that much about it. I don't think anybody got killed, but you know, it's just the point of it all anyhow. And Belarus, I mean, Ukraine has been encouraging Belarusians to sabotage the railroad lines and all that sort of thing. And all the railroad cars that, you know, because there at least was trade. There was trade between Ukraine and Belarus, and Ukraine has decided they're keeping all of the railroad cars that belong to Belarus. So I guess there's probably at least 1,000. So they're not returning them to Belarus, and Belarus has been asking for them back. And you know, they've had, you know, even though there is the government of Belarus has sided more on the side of Russia than they have of Ukraine, but they haven't sent any Belarusian soldiers into this. I don't think even unofficially they've sent any, you know. It's not like Poland, as you notice. Unofficially, they've sent thousands of soldiers to fight against the Russians. And, you know, no surprise that the U.S. is doing the same thing. You know, it's been well known that the U.S. has troops in Ukraine, and they've had them there even long before the hostilities. I remember seeing tapes of somebody standing in the way. It was a Russian reporter or Ukrainian, and the guy said in U.S. English, "Get out of my way!" And you know, that, you know, I had saw that, and I had sent it to somebody, and they made that go viral. So that was pretty good. But you know, I've just been seeing some things here on the television. I don't know if someday I'm gonna, you know, record things with this camera, showing the television, and then of course it's all going to be in Russian anyway. But it's mostly the video footage, you know, that is actually very revealing, and you won't believe a lot of the things that are going on. And I have to say allegedly, because I'm not there. You know, such as they show constantly. Every time the news comes on, it seems, at least every time I'm there, I don't have a television. I just kind of walk in the room sometime and I see some things, but I don't understand Russian really. I just some words now, and so I what's the point in me watching it? And you know, and then there's people there, they don't want to be disturbed, and me say, what did they say? What did they say? What did they say? But you know, you see these disturbing images of migrants that are trying to go through Poland. A lot of them came into Belarus because of all the sanctions. You know, the government of Belarus, at least at that time, I don't know what's going on now, but they stopped this flow of migrants going into Poland, and you know, because of the punishments that the West is doing against Belarus, they said, okay, then we're just not going to stop these people from coming through. You know, and but anyway, they're amassing on the border. They want to mostly go to Germany, and Poland. Well, just to put it bluntly, they are to the large extent killing these people. They're killing the migrants. They have. You know, I hate to say this, but they certainly do have. The government there has this same ideology that has taken hold in Ukraine. You know, this Nazi ideology. I'm not afraid to say that, I guess, because I've heard people say Nazi on YouTube. Did I say Nazi? Or they're gonna use the algorithms against me. Of course they're going to, and they already do. Not many people get to see my videos, you know. So I'm not Andrew Tate, I guess. And well, I guess even Andrew Tate, you know, they try to censor him, but he's just too big. Anyhow, it's like too big to fail on YouTube. That's an appropriate term. I don't know. But I'm just one of the little guys, you know, at least what the girls tell me. No, anyway. But besides that, this term like Nazis, it's that's something else I wanted to address. You know, I'm kind of I have a hang up of looking at definitions and then people throwing out these terms such as fascism, democracy, you know, all this sort of stuff, and freedom, and people really, you know, they don't define it, because freedom or democracy or any of these things, they had a different meaning at some other point in time, and it seems like the definitions, they're changing faster than you can change your underwear, you know, like fascism in 1919 is when the phrase was first used by Mussolini. It meant something completely different than what fascism is today, and it had nothing to do, like I said, I've said this in other videos, you know, nothing to do with your skin color, your religion, or anything like that. It was mostly just an economic system to fit within socialism. So even calling fascism far right is very strange, because it came from the far left, and it fits into the far left, and you could actually say that all fascist leaders have all been far left. So how can it be far right? You know, because it's for socialism, and all the people that I guess applied something that we know as fascism, they were all socialists, and socialism is on the left, you know. And believe it or not, old Adolf Hitler, he was a socialist. His party was the National Socialist Party, and if you don't think that he was, why did Stalin like him? Stalin obviously was a socialist, and they had sort of a, like I say, a truce towards the beginning of the war until, like I think I said in even the last video, like till June 22nd, 1941, when Germany attacked the Soviet Union. You know, General Guderian at the Brest Fortress, and I wanted to go there this weekend and film that and show that to everybody. And you know, it's not like I get to decide everything. So other people kind of, you know, didn't want to go or something for certain other reasons, so and didn't end up going there. And I promised to, what is it, Craig there of Craig's Money Secrets, I believe. I don't know, great guy, and he's interested in Belarus very much. He's one of the people that subscribe to the channel, and I was telling him I would go, and I want to go. I really love I love the fortress in Brest, so it's a very significant place to go if you appreciate history, especially of World War II, because it is very, very significant, and it's very significant to those people of the Soviet Union, or, well, it's significant history about the Soviet Union, which has applications of the people of today, and, you know, all of the lives lost in those times, you know, trying to defend, you know, the region against fascism again, which actually wasn't. It was against Nazism, or you can say fascism. So fascism, like I said, I hate to try to, you know, pin it down and give you a true definition of fascism because, like I said, it's different times. It has different definitions, and depending on whose mouth it comes out of, it has a, if you talk to an economist and they talk about fascism, they probably mean something completely different than a politician. And people on the street, there's a lot of them. And I've even asked people, well, then what is fascism? Define it for me. Oh, it's some right-wing sort of a thing, and they come up with a lot of stuff. So, but anyway, I'd rather just call it Nazism, even though I'm not really allowed to say that on YouTube. But like, again, let's get back to this Nazism. And so if you look at this, like I said, this ideology, which I would just say call Nazism rather than fascism, because like I said, it's not that I love fascism, which I don't. It's not a very good economic system either, and it's always going to lead to something terrible. You could even call it corporatism, just like what we have today, especially in the United States. You could call that fascism in a way. And like, how did Mussolini define it? He said it's nothing more than the marriage of corporate money to government power, and every government and every system in the world has some sort of a relationship between the private sector and the government sector. So I don't know, you want to call everything fascism. But anyway, so let's not get into that. Instead, let's talk about Nazism. And Nazism, I think you can define Nazism because that's sort of a nationalistic view. And a lot of people say, well, nationalism is great. That means you love your country. But I don't know if you want to play Yoda and say, well, this leads to that. And, I don't know. You've got to watch those Star Wars movies. I can't even think of the example. But nationalism can be a dangerous thing, of course. And depending on how people look at it and how you can start to steer people into thinking a certain way just because they love their country or whatever. And you want to get into like, say, make America great again. That's not a fascist statement at all. And you can instead look at some president that came before Donald Trump, and he said that the American people are the exceptional people. Now let's get into that one there, and if you want to talk about fascism, fascism, or not fascism, excuse me, here I'm making the same mistake, but if you want to talk about Nazism, you say, people looking at me here, they see this, they hear this word, and they probably going to report me. Somebody did that once before, I guess, which is not a bad thing. People being concerned, and I think they heard me saying Ukraine, so they called the police. and it's, like I said, near military bases, so they probably think I'm planning something. But anyway, again, let me get back off from my little tangents that I go from. But calling America the exceptional, or the people of America the exceptional people, by the way, that is fascism. It's very much like saying the master race or God's chosen people. I tell you, the Nazis, it's like they're saying we're a superior people, and then trying to convince their entire nation of that. And then people actually can very easily fall into that. It's like, wow, I finally have some respect. I'm a great person. No, I'm part of this club, and then people fall into that, and they go for that, especially, if you have some sort of an inferiority complex, you're very susceptible to that sort of thing. Let's get into that too. And, Ukraine, unfortunately, the people were very ripe for that, had a lot of these problems in the past, of being told, I think, and it happened actually after World War II, and you had people fanning the flames to say, for example, I think they called it the Holodomor or whatever, when a lot of people died of starvation in Ukraine, and they're saying the Russians did it, they're the cause of all of our problems. And of course that's what they've been told, for a long time, and there's always that, oh, the Russians, that's the cause of all our problems. That's what they do in the Baltic states. Oh, everything that's bad here is because of the Russians, and it's the Russians. Oh, yes, they're all the bad people. And it's very easy to be stoking this sort of a hatred, and then passing that on from one generation to the next, and that's what's been going on. And there's a lot of you people already know this. A lot of you are watching this, are just as educated in a lot of these things as I am. Some of you are probably even more educated than I am about that, and maybe even thinking a little bit better. I get my Brandon brain complex once in a while, but anyway, it's, being brainwashed like this, like these people are, with this ideology. And if you've been, looking even a little bit at like sociology or psychology, and you find out how very easy it is, and even who was that? I think it wasn't even necessarily Goebbels, the propaganda minister of Adolf Hitler, but it was like other people. And it's been said before that it's very easy to steer people, tell them they're under attack or whatever. And then another way is to, feather their egos by saying they're the exceptional people or God's chosen people or whatnot. Very dangerous stuff. Very dangerous stuff. So then when you're defining a Nazi, what is a Nazi? Someone who thinks, it's with these nationalist feelings, thinking that they're superior to other beings, and steering people into that. And you look at the western part of Ukraine, like Galicia, even Vladimir Putin. I've been saying this in videos, and Vladimir Putin was even mentioning that in one of his recent speeches, about this area. And a lot of people are now talking about Galicia. It's coming in the news. I'm glad I was talking about this many months ago, about over half a year ago. And this region called Galicia, and that's again, I'm not blaming all these people here. It's the ideology. It's the ideology itself, taking hold in people and then spreading itself around, and then society demands that you have to go along with this thing, or else you're an outcast, and maybe you get punished. You might get taped to a lamp pole like they do in Ukraine, and forcing everybody. It's almost like holding somebody down and giving them a vaccination. You can, you see that these problems coming around in the world today. That's one reason why I'm even making videos about all this stuff that's going on, and a lot of people are talking about that, and I guess it's a big subject. Jeffrey Sachs or even Scott Ritter, anybody, talking about all this crazy stuff going on in the world today, and a lot of this is just all rooted to Nazism. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, we're really in deep trouble. But I tell you what, a lot of people are waking up. There are more and more people wake up, and then some people. It's kind of strange because nobody goes from being informed, just like all the information that I'm telling you right now, and a lot of you already know this. Nobody goes from that standpoint to the other standpoint, to become the Nazi standpoint. It happens the other way around. But once you have the definition of what some of these things are, like Nazism or even democracy or whatever, and if you have a thinking mind, you'll even say that that democracy has really never existed as any kind of sustainable form of government. So, and whenever these politicians they whip it out, it's just supposed to make you have this warm feeling inside. Wow, we're the people, we're in charge, when you're not in charge at all. I mean, did you want to get a vaccine, or and all that information they fed into you, and you find out that it's all fake? Find out how democracy works then. But anyway, you talk about Nazism, and you look at some of these other people today, these neoliberals, the neoconservatives and all that. Well, that's to me, that's just about the same as Nazism. I mean, they don't come right out and say some of these things that they're better or anything like that, but they say, well, we have the best form of government, we are the better people, so therefore we should be ruling over you. And that's the same, the neoliberals say that as well as the neoconservatives. They never come out and tell you that, but that's exactly what they think, because they're trying to force their way of life and and doing things upon you. And as anybody that really knows, and the Russians all know this, that these provocations against Russia, for decades after decades, it's all to get control of Russia, to subjugate the people, to subjugate the country, and get the resources, to fall under the power of these types of people that think this way. And that's what most wars are all about anyway, as you know. It's all economic, and it's just to get to control of some sort of resources of some other country. And if you know the real truth, you find out about what this war was about in Ukraine, and what was supposed to happen with the Minsk agreements was supposed to be the reintegration of these republics, even though they've never wanted to be part of Ukraine, ever, even when they were attached. And Colonel Douglas MacGregor was talking, I heard the other day, and I've heard this before, but I didn't hear that it was at some drinking party where Khrushchev agreed to give these, Lugansk and Donetsk republics to Ukraine, at a drinking party or something. And a lot of these regions or parts, or no, it was Khrushchev. He said that, but I tell you what, it wasn't Khrushchev that signed these things over. That was Lenin. Khrushchev, I believe, he signed over the Crimea. So that might have been just a mistake. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I'm Brandon braining a little bit here, but I don't know. But I think he was talking about Lugansk and Donetsk when I believe that became part of Ukraine under Lenin. So it was before Khrushchev's time. But nevertheless, they never wanted to be part of Ukraine, and all this stuff was about resources. And the people of Crimea, they never wanted to be a part of Ukraine. They don't like Ukraine at all, and never have. I remember even seeing films back in the 1980s or 90s, people protesting, and the Russian soldiers, it's kind of like a love fest. They're kind of hugging them and like pushing them back because these people are so pissed off. They don't want to be part of Ukraine at all. And that was even back then, before any sort of problems or anything were occurring. So that's very interesting in and of itself. I guess there's one advantage to being older. You can remember a lot of these things. And but the point I'm trying to make is these people, you look at like Lindsey Graham, who said he's incredibly happy that the Ukrainians are going to be willing to die to the last man. So I can't ever get over on that, it isn't even a spin at all to say that he's happy to see the Ukrainians dying. So, and any sensible person knows that the Ukraine isn't going to be winning this at all, and the United States knows this. And I think it was Jeffrey Sachs that was even alluding to the fact, and a lot of people know that it's the goal is not to win this war, actually. To a lot of people, it's just to make a lot of money from the war. So a lot of these people are wanting to make money. There are people, of course, in NATO that want to win because they just want to win because they're just arrogant, and it doesn't really get much of anything. They don't win. What do they win? What are they winning by winning the war? They're not winning anything. And you already know that it has nothing to do with democracy, because there's no democracy there in the first place. It's not democratic. There's nothing democratic about it. So this is all just a big ruse, and this is nothing but arrogance and greed and all that. And the money that they're playing with and the lives, they're not their lives. It's not their money. So they're more than happy to get lots of people killed and to waste a lot of money coming out of your pocket, not mine, because I'm over here in Belarus. We deal in real money normally here. It's also probably a fiat currency, but I think the people here know that they, that money has to be at some point in time paid back. And I think Belarus is one of the 10 countries in the world that brings in more money than they actually spend out, even though it's very slight. It's balanced. And if you think about it, that's actually very, very good. If you're making a lot of money and getting a lot of savings, it may not be quite as good. It shows, some people would say that you're sitting on your assets. So, and this says, Belarus, I think, is like, they get 0.5% more than what they actually spend. At least that was some sort of estimates from back in 2021. So in some places, I believe they bring in 8% more. Doesn't sound like a lot to me, but that's like some Caribbean islands or whatever, some rich people's places. Anyway, this finagling with numbers, it has nothing to do with being a rich country or a poor country or nothing, because that's like some sort of your GDP ratios, and finagling with economics, all that sort of thing. But Belarus is not as bad off as you would think, and they're certainly not a rich country. And of course, there is low unemployment here, so most people are working, and some are not getting paid that much at all. Pensions are very low in a lot of cases, but it's far, far, far richer than it was when I was here in the year 2000. So there wasn't any relatively new cars. The cars that were here at that time were sort of the beat up sort of cars that they were sold in and that the people here could afford, that came from the cars coming from Europe or whatnot. And once in a while you saw kind of a new nice SUV and thinking, wow, that's a very rich person that has that one. And now you see a lot of that sort of thing. And there's some BMWs, a Volvo right over there, and so, some compact cars here. Peugeot, lots of different types here. Citroën, French car here, but and there's a lot of Chinese cars. But I don't know what you're interested in or what I should talk about. But anyway, that's about enough right now. I'm going to be doing another video probably today from a supermarket here in Baranovichi, which is a medium-sized town, believe it or not. It's not a big town in Belarus. If you look at the big towns, there might be 5 of them, and then Baranovichi is coming in somewhere, amongst maybe 5 other towns that are medium-sized, and then of course every place has a lot of villages and whatnot, every country, so they don't count, Well, anyway, I'm just kidding, but anyhow, that's about all I want to say right now, and make sure you subscribe if the algorithms did bring you here, because the algorithms aren't that kind to me, because what I talk about, I probably got some sort of a tick mark in my YouTube files that I talk about information that they don't agree with, and so that's as you know, that form of censorship. And if you have a larger channel and you use Facebook and all that other sort of stuff, you can get more subscribers and all. I'm not really out to be pressuring. I'm not going to do that anyway. I'm not out for asking for any money or nothing like that either. I just I feel like I'm discussing things with people that are trying to make a more positive change in the world, and giving true information and real facts, and instead of the real stuff that humanity is really being challenged with, nowadays. Terrible. And since I'm, in this country, and I discovered this country, quite a while ago, and it's like I'm out of the Matrix, which is, it's why I like that movie, because this is like the real world here, and if you're in the West, you're living in a fake Matrix world. It's not really reality. You're being fed this fake information, and it's and you really get that feeling, because it's really good. You deal in reality over here, and I like that. And you find out how they lie to you, even about this government. It's just incredible. It's like in the West, is what I'm saying. They say how I'm not even too sure that like that Lukashenko is the last dictator of Europe, and I don't know. They say that about Putin too. Anybody that the West wants to, that's controlling a country, or elected or in office or whatever you want to say, anybody that has some sort of a political position of some country where the U.S. there's some resources or some reason where they want to take over, then of course that person is an evil dictator, like Assad, who is the only Christian leader in the Middle East, and was willing to, and actually did. He gave amnesty to ISIS people that were fighting against him, and probably killed Syrians and all, and as long as they laid down their weapons, maybe some people, they don't like that, but that's what they did. Putin has got like a similar point of view, and even Lukashenko here too as well. These are probably a lot better people than the likes of some of these people you see in the West, such as like Lindsey Graham. Do you think Lindsey Graham would be doing anything like that? I'll tell you what, boy. Yeah, really nice guy there, you know. You know, there's a lot of them out there, even Joe Biden, you know. And you find out about, like I mentioned in the last video, all of the investments in the Ukraine and like for military biological weapons labs, you know, that the Biden family is invested in, not to mention other things like the oil trade, you know, the gas trade, you know, make it, and there's probably a lot more things as well. I think there was even some sort of real estate deals. I think that was Hunter Biden's uncle or something like that, or maybe that one was in China. But anyway, they're dealing in all of these underhanded deals, and you know. And then you talk about the Zelensky family. It's not so great things. I don't really like to, you know, attack people so much, and it's all based on information that I've been told. So, you know, how can I verify that? You know, but a lot of time that comes out. Hunter Biden, that's pretty obvious. Everybody knows about that now. You know, what they tried to cover up, you know. What they tried to cover up, you know, is right out there in everybody's faces, bigger than anything else. And well, there's all sorts of sideline news about that. You talk about Donald Trump, you know, and they had to withdraw their subpoena for Donald Trump to, you know, present evidence against himself, you know, which I think that's some sort of a violation of the, you know, you can plead the fifth or something like that. Anyway, but they dropped that, and it was all just a gimmick, of course, for the elections. You know, who knows how much cheating went on that too. This is all just a bunch of crazy stuff. So anyway, I'll be talking a little bit more, like I said, and you have to catch that my tour through a supermarket. That's going to be a long video, and I'll try to show some prices on that, or at least let you know what the exchange rate is, and you can figure them out there yourself. I'm not very quick with numbers, I'll admit that. And so anyway, hope to see you in that next video. I guess I won't be seeing you, but you might be seeing me. So till that time, and subscribe. Bye now.